So, yeah, do you tell me a bit about yourself and
Yeah,
where you
sure.
got to?
So I've wanted to get into property for a while now. My dad's into property, so it kind of obviously spurred the thought into your head. I think, he's made a decent amount of money from it. So
Yeah,
I thought, why not replicate success? Success leaves clues. So really looking into like the buy to let, single lets, because I don't really want to complicate things. I'd rather keep it really simple. Also focus very much on the long term. So I'm going to turn 28 in a couple of months, and I'm thinking of I want to quit work after 40. I think if I work another 12 years, I would love to just carry on work and then do property on the side as well, rather than just do completely property. So I'm trying to build it on the side,
yes,
and so I'm really looking for long term. I'm not really interested in like short term fixes, because I do understand that property is a very long term game,
yeah,
and the longer you wait, the bigger the pie you're going to get. So I'll wait off getting the car until I'm a bit older, and then I can surely enjoy the cars, the holidays, and whatever may come.
but
So
yeah,
I'm just trying to think of the best strategy to utilize the savings that I have right now, and also the more funds that I have access to, how
yeah,
to make best use of it. So that I am thinking, obviously, the long term picture, and
yeah.
not really looking to pull any money out in the short term.
I think that's the best way to be. I'm very similar in the sense that, yeah, I'd like to be financially free in the next, say, 5 to 7 years. I'd like to build up enough income to replace my job. With that being said, I won't necessarily leave the job. It would just be nice to, so very much like you in the sense that building long-term wealth over time.
I think I've looked into like HMOs, and you see all these videos where you say, oh, the rent will be this much and this much, but there's a lot of like stuff they don't tell you, the headaches and stuff that would come with it. And I'm
Yeah,
like, what do I want long term? Okay, I don't want to quit my job for the next 12 years.
yeah,
Um, I don't know what I would do, so I would just do my job for 12 years until I'm 40. I think that's a reasonable age. Let it build up on the side.
yeah,
Make sure that I'm not getting any. I don't want property to add more and more stress or like concern into your life, because we already have so much other things going on in our life. It's something else in the background that's burning a hole, and first of all you're like 2-3 hours away from your property, and
yeah,
something goes wrong, so it's going to add more and more stress. So that's the reason for just doing basic vanilla buy to lets, because long term, I'm in it for the long term. So who cares what happens in the short term? Long term it will work. So
yeah.
that's always been my sort of thought process.
Yeah, you're exactly the same as me, and it's very. I've watched and researched lots of other strategies, and it's very easy to get enticed by them because they offer a lot more cash flow. But one thing I've realised just from do you listen to Ted Talks at all?
Yeah, it's
I
really
find
good.
him incredibly inspiring because he's just, instead of maybe going after a few different strategies, he's just gone, right, I'm going to do vanilla buy to lets, but I'm just going to hyper focus all my energy into that. And so that's why I find him inspiring, because rather than maybe thinking and doing different options, he's just gone, right, I'm going to, buy at a rate of 3 per month, which is quite extreme. And he's got a lot of, investment behind him, which he's managed to
Good.
secure, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about just going, I know exactly what I want. I'm going to build this over a long time. I know that buy to let isn't the best for cash flow, but that's how I'm going to build my wealth. So I think that's a really good idea, and I think, if you can stick to that, it'd be really great.
And one thing that I've not really heard a lot of is, a lot of people focus on like cash flow when they buy a rental property. So I'm assuming when you buy a property, you go to getting like an interest only mortgage, or do you do
Yes.
repayment?
So I did interest only.
Okay.
Now that
Um,
was for cash flow, because I think repayment would have been about 250 a month versus more interest only was 150 a month, or 149 I pay per month.
Yeah. So the thing is, the way I think, okay, you have your job, your basic job that you're getting your income from or whatever, and then you have your property company. Now, if you've got like 4 or 5 houses in a property company and you start making profit, you're going to pay tax on this, right? So my theory was, I buy all these houses and I pay down the mortgages. So basically, my property company never makes a profit. So it never makes a positive profit. So I don't pay any tax. But the equity is obviously going up in the properties because I'm paying the mortgages off.
Yeah,
And over, let's say, 5, 7, 10 years, the
yeah,
property value, touch wood, is going to go up in price. So say if I've got 5 properties, they all go up by 30 grand. You know,
Yeah.
I've made like 150K there. I've paid down another like, 20K mortgage on every house. I've got another 100K in equity. So I've got like 250K equity that I can pull out, 10 years down the line, and then, start again if I wanted to, or put it to different business uses. So would that be like, it's just something that I've thought about. Is that like something that people do? Is that smart? Would you advise against or for it? Like, I've just not heard many people talk about like repayment. I've just
No,
heard.
it's a good question. I haven't heard many people talk about doing that as a strategy. That's something I definitely want to do further down the line, because right now my thought was, because I'm not going to take any money out, because I'm same as you really. Certainly for there's no point when my properties aren't earning that much, and also B, I don't want to be paying tax yet. So I bought mine in a limited company, and then I just roll the money. So I'm just keeping that. It's only been rented out for 4 months, but still I'm just rolling the money. And my intention is just to leave it in there, A, for any maintenance or future refurbs, but B, because I don't want to take that out and pay tax on it. So I'd rather roll it along in there, and then I'll eventually use that as a deposit on another one. But in the future, yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea, and rather than, because I think, you pay 19% corporation tax, and then I don't know exactly, and obviously can't give you advice, but I don't know what it's like. It's something like an additional 30 or 34% when you take it out into your own name. So, so obviously you have to make it as tax efficient as possible if you want to pull the money out. But so then actually what would be better to do, certainly whilst we're still working, is not take any money from it. Yeah, as you say, once you've got the, to a level that you like, yeah, why not start doing, repayments, or I wonder if you might even be able to say you did interest only mortgages and bought 5 houses over the next few years. I wondered if you got to a point where you've got, 50K income in your business account, that you might be able to, maybe, I don't know, this is what I'm suggesting, you could then take 10,000 and pay off a bit off of each of the mortgage, or take 20,000, if you see what I mean. Because again, technically, that's an expense, you're paying off a mortgage loan rather than you're not taking it out. So that would be something to explore for definite. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and another thing was, thank you for that, by the way. Another thing was, you invest in Liverpool, you live in Brighton. How do you manage just the stress of what if something goes wrong in one of your houses? So, for example, if I live in Leicester and one of my dad's property messes up in Leicester, it's easier for me to like send a plumber, go around myself, make sure the job is done. But say I go to buy like 5 properties in Liverpool, how do you just manage that? Like when something goes wrong, like that's something that's always quite bugged me.
Yeah. So I found that this is how I found it anyway, could be different for everyone, but there's almost like a stress curve. Like when I was buying it, it was quite stressful. When I completed on it, did a bit of work to it, I found it a bit stressful. And then there was a period of time where it was empty. And that for me was the most stressful time, because I was thinking, oh, it's sitting empty. I hope it's not, getting broken into, or, so on. But when it was rented, that gave me a bit of peace of mind. And then a month after, in the kitchen, I had a nice big black splashback behind the range cooker, and it fell off and smashed on the floor.
Oh wow.
And also the tenants were on holiday, so it technically wasn't their fault, and I had to pay for that. But because I have a managing agent, which I pay about just over £70 a month, they charge, I think it's about 12% or something. You can get them a bit cheaper than that, but I'm quite happy with how they're managing it so far. They just took care of it. They sent me pictures. They said, look, this is the quote. It's going to cost, I think it was about £150 to get someone in to repair it and replace it. And then they just deducted it off the rent. So yeah, it's actually not as stressful as I thought it might be, but there was a little bit. And then now that, that was my first hurdle, my first bit of maintenance I had to do. But actually now I've kind of done that stress curve and almost experienced that. I feel like I'm at a level now where I'm okay. I don't think about the house too much. I know there's a managing agent round the corner if I need them, for example. It's not as good as if you were, living there yourself. Definitely not. But it's okay. I found it all right.
Cool. Yeah, and that was like another thing from my mind. I was like, yeah, because I know when some of my dad's properties in Leicester, if something's gone wrong, it can be quite stressful if like the boiler goes or something. You want to
Yeah,
make sure you get the right plumber. You might send a plumber there, and he might just quote you a lot more,
yeah.
like, and then than it actually is. And another thing is, what is your long-term strategy in terms of going about property? Are you just going to be sticking to like vanilla buy to lets, or do you think you venture out into doing something different?
So I do think for my mind has changed quite a few times on this, because at times I even thought about doing, I definitely won't now, but I thought about doing a rent to rent down here. I thought, oh, if I get a rent to rent, I could build up some cash flow, and then I can buy it more buy to lets at a quicker rate. But I think actually what's key for me now is, and again, it's like I was saying earlier, it came down to just listening to others who are doing it. I think actually if you put all of your, this is my opinion, if you put all of your focus into one, then you'll get further in that one. And then, so my ideal over the next 3, 4, 5 years will be to just keep buying buy-to-lets.
Yeah.
And I would quite like, I was talking to someone earlier, and he's buying, a house which is split into 3 flats. And that's ideal because it's, one freehold. It's then, you own that building, you own the roof, you have more income because it's split into individual flats, but then you're not having to deal with the headache of clashing personalities that you might get in a HMO, for example. So obviously there's a lot more cash that come from HMOs, but I'm like you, and I want to still work. I don't want to have lots of headache around the managing side of it. So that's my goal anyway, but you never know, it might change.
Yeah, and the final question is like, what would you do if you had £70,000 right now, and what would like you do in my situation, and what would your strategy be?
Right now, so obviously,
Knowing everything you know now,
yeah. I would I would pick an area. I think it's pick an area by researching lots of areas. Once you feel like you've got down to 1 or 2 areas, just research the hell out of it, and say it was Liverpool as an example, and you go, right, I'm definitely going to invest in Liverpool. Then I would speak to other people like we are now, but I'd Zoom call and speak to lots of other people, say, what areas have you got buy-to-lets in? What are the best? And then just once this is coronavirus is lifted, I'd just get out and I'd just get ready to go every weekend, go to your investment area, spend all of Saturday viewing. Don't necessarily have to buy or offer on anything for the first month. Just get out there and view it, and you might decide, yeah, this is definitely the area for me. You might not. And then I'd probably, 70,000 is a good amount to get going with, in all honesty. And my one, which it sounds like you've seen the video, I was all in for including all fees for 16,000. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily go out and get 3 at once in the first 2 months, but maybe buy 1, see how that one goes, and then you could replicate that, and buy 3 or 4. That's what I would personally do. I would right now, for example, I'd go up to Liverpool straight after the coronavirus. I'd get on to finding my next one. I'd quite like to do a BRR, so I'd quite like to go up there, go up for a week maybe, or 3 days, view 30, 40 houses, offer on 10 of them, and whoever accepts my low offer, I will buy. So that sort of usual thing. But and then I would refurb it, rent it, and then try and refinance it in 6 months, because then you can really make that 70,000 work for you. It's a really good pot, but you hear it so often, no matter what pot of money, you always end up getting through it. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you can make that if you can make that 70,000 into 120,000 by, pulling out money quicker, then I think that's a great idea as well.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'll definitely be looking into that once coronavirus.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but listen, I'm new to this as well, so be good to stay in touch with you and see how you get on. And
yeah, sure, will do. Send you a message. My first one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
That's all right, man. It's good talking to you. Nice to meet you.
And you.
I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Bye.
mate.
Been working like 3 jobs. Probably why I never see y'all. Probably why I never have time for the fake friends that won't be y'all. Oh God.